Hey friends, and some or most of you guys were expecting this, and it's no surprise that after I beat something, I make some sort of a guide. Big and long, short and simple, I try to give tips or strategies for the game I play to help others. I like to see other people try to beat the maximums I already beaten, and on top of that, use my guides to help them out. This game is no exception to it, and today I'll give you full explanations of everything I know, and it's important to put the game on low quality so you don't get the excessive use of flashlights on the left, middle, or right, so you can see them without needing to use the flashlights. Anyways, let's get started with... I was going to explain everything about the game and why you need to know priorities and why it doesn't work with other games, but it's too long to explain. Instead, just take my word for it. You need to know who is the most important characters to go after and what's less important and where you can just keep an eye less on it. There are 6 characters to rank, and we're going to go from the bottom of the scale that some people we just don't need to keep an eye on until they're like on their last stage where they're at your door or something like that. At the bottom of the list, we got number 6, Ashton. Honestly, it was difficult for me to pick at the very bottom, but number 5 was one very annoying thing that saved it from being dead last, so sorry Ashton, you're the least threatening character we have. I almost never paid attention to him for the first 3 minutes, and even at the last 3 minutes, I barely paid attention just a bit more towards him, and it's just simple. If he's on the left or right side of the door, just close it on him. And even then, if you really want to, if he's on this last stage before entering your left or right doors, you can close it on him, and if he has a successful opportunity and goes there, it resets him back to stage 1 if the doors are still closed on him or slowly opening. In fact, it's so easy, I can take my glasses off, step 20 feet away from the monitor, close my right eye, keep an eye, I have 440 vision, my left eye is 400, so that's really blind as it is. And I can still be able to shut the door on him. And if I'm not sure where he's at, I can shut both doors just to make sure. It's that easy. Of course, you might be thinking you might be wasting a lot of power from doing that if you don't get that successful opportunity. And trust me when I say this game is really, really, really easy to green run. So power should be never an issue. If you somehow use too much power, then that's a skill part on your end that you need to fix. Anyways, the next character on the list, the same as Ashton, but recall when I said he had the one very annoying thing that kept him from being last place? Well, at number 5, we have Tryfly. He is everything like Ashton except he goes through the middle door, and you think that'd be easier than Ashton, but like I said for the 1000th time, he has that one thing that kept him from being at the bottom of the list and made him just a bit more higher priority. He can block at camera 1 a very specific spot that CoolKid is at, and because of that, my runs ended and died because of that. So it's always crucial to remember where he's at on the map on the last 3 minutes. And then other than that, he's very simple to deal with. So he gets number 5. And number 4, we got Zbar. Now, even though he's at number 4, he is a huge threat. Unlike Ashton and Tryfly, they're like the fries at the meal. And then Zbar is the steak of the meal. You might be asking, why is he so low if he's just the steak of the meal? Shouldn't he be like the dessert or something like that? Well, his mechanics are very easy to follow and not too difficult to remember that, well, he exists. Even though you can probably just ignore that one run I had at 5 a.m. where I completely forgot about him, but we don't talk about my mistakes that much. No way! I forgot, dude! Oh no, I forgot! Oh, that's unfortunate. I forgot about him. Unfortunate. He gives you 8 seconds to prepare that he's coming for you. And 8 seconds is plenty of time to do that. You can take care of everything all at once, twice over maybe, and then shut the vent on him and not get killed by him. Now, he's not unimportant, or nearly unimportant, like Tryfly and Ashton. Like, if you forget if he exists, or you're too busy dealing with other threats, he'll sneak up on you, get you, and you'll be like, damn it, I completely forgot about him. Now, obviously, if he's at the 1 second mark, and you haven't dealt with him yet, deal with him. but he's rarely a problem to the point where you either forget about him or there's hordes of people coming after you. And that's the only time he really gets me. And yeah, that's enough about him. Now we got to number 3, 3 and 2. Yes, that's his name. And yes, he's only number 3. So the reason why he's number 3 and not lower is because, well, he can do everything like everyone else other than CoolKid. And why he's not ranked higher, well, he can do everything like the other characters other than CoolKid. Sounds real, right? But let me explain. He can vent. He can appear by the doors. And you have to shut the doors on him. And then you have to flash the light on him. That sounds like a lot of mechanics to deal with. But remember what I said about the other characters? The reason why Tryfly and Ashton are so low on the list is because you have to shut the doors on him. And that's something 3 and 2 does the most. He sits by their door and you have to close it on him. And then what he does the next most, or in the middle of the pack, is running to the vent, which is something that Zbar does. And he's number 4. And then the least used mechanic he uses is the flashlight mechanic. And that's someone we have not even talked about yet. So it gives you an idea why he's number 3, because he can do all 3 of those mechanics, but 2 of them are in the bottom of the list. And only 1 of them made it to top 2. Now, if you make him use the flashlight mechanic a lot more, then he'll be higher on the list. But I can't see the world where he'll never get out to top 3 better than top 3. Also, you can hear him running into the vent, which also ducks more points of him being unimportant because you can just hear it when he's coming. But because you have to flash the light on him every now and then, he gets the number 3 spot. And then for the next character, that's his only mechanic. And I'll explain why number 2 is higher than 3 and 2. At number 2, we got Malachi. Tryfly, the creator of the game, has heard me rant about this character over and over again, and it should be no surprise for him I rank him this high. He has one mechanic: flash the light on him when he's at the door. I'll explain why that is very deadly. So he moves around like a Tryfly and Ashton, which you can forget about him pretty easily. He also, some reason, can skip the last phase, and I actually like that. I don't know if that's a bug or not, but I actually like that he does that, so it's not always mindless and something you can repeatedly have numbers in your head to flash at a specific point, like at 12 seconds, flash him there, and then after that, after 28 seconds, flash him again, and then keep going after 28 seconds and stuff like that. So it's not, so you can't easily predict him. And where he skips the phase is his last one. Like, he'll be right about to enter to your door, and then suddenly you see him disappear, and you go flash the light, and he's not there. I don't know why he skips his last phase, but he does. But I thought I'd let you know about that. Malachi is the character I probably died to the most, which can ruin your 3-minute run, your 4-minute run, or even 5-minute run because of him. I have some ideas why I died to him the most. Most of the characters have a 3-second kill timer, and you have to flash him, and it takes about a half a second to flash him. Maybe a little bit less if you're faster, but let's say on average it takes you half a second to flash him. Well, now the kill timer goes from 3 seconds to 2.5 seconds, because you spent that half a second trying to flash him. And I got to the point where I think the max flashes you need to do is 8. So there's a point where I done 7 flashes, and I was meant to do an 8, and I still die. And what's even a bigger problem is that when he's on his last stage, and CoolKid's around somewhere that you have not known yet, you have to wait very patiently on him to come to your door, because he's that high of a priority until the point where either CoolKid's about to kill you, or something else is about to kill you, and you just die because of it. And then let's say you decide to not wait on him and try to get CoolKid. Well, while you're spending that time on CoolKid, he's actually right by your door immediately as soon as you switch cameras. And this happens way more often than you think it does. Easily the most annoying character in the game. Unlike CoolKid, which he's only there for a half a night, and he's still very annoying, but Malachi's there for the whole night. If I find that Ashton's on the right door, and I'm about to shut the door on him, and then I see Malachi on his stone hedge looking at his face in the middle, I'm flashing a light on him immediately, and once he disappears, then I shut the door. That's how much a problematic he is to me. But enough ranting about that. He was almost number 1, but there was just issues he had that. But one thing he is that he's skill based, or at the very most part of it, skill based, and he's number 2 because of that. And then number 1 is never skill based; it's all completely luck. At number 1, we have CoolKid. Are you surprised? You shouldn't be if you know this game. He appears only 3 minutes out of the whole 6 minutes of the night, and there's a good reason for that. He's completely luck-based. After you get past the first 3 minutes, it's completely skill, and that's something you can do in a few hours. At the point of over nearly 60 hours of it, I master the first 3 minutes to the point where I can get it very consistently. And the last 3 minutes are actually a challenge because you have to get luck to make it through. It sucks because he is at the last 3 minutes, meaning you have to go the slog of the first 3 minutes before you can actually finally go for the last 3 minutes. But here's some tips to counter the luck on him. There's 2 cameras you can avoid entirely, cameras 4 and 5. One camera is for Zbar, which if you're looking at Zbar while trying to do this challenge, you're not doing the challenge right. Maybe you should get off instead and play something else. Do not ever use that camera to look at Zbar. Do not ever use that. There's no good reason to use it. Never use it in your life. And then another camera that a lot of people think is useful, but actually isn't, and I fall for this as well because I didn't realize how useless it was until after I beaten it and writing the script down and looking at the game a little bit more closely. Camera 4. Now, camera 4, you think it has a spot for CoolKid. In fact, I'll show you all the spots a location for CoolKid is at. Anything that's highlighted red, circle, marked, or something like that, that means you can only see CoolKid in that one camera you're looking at right now. Now, anything other than that, that means you can see that same spot in multiple different cameras. 2 cameras or even 3 cameras. And it'll be highlighted in green or some other color like that. It'll be marked or circle or something like that. And you can see on camera 4, you can only see one spot for that. And then you can also look at camera 1 and still see the exact same spot, making cam 4 completely useless to look at. Now, since you know which character is the most important and why it is, now we go into the strategies for this game, or just one strategy. Now, the priorities are pretty consistent throughout the night. They will change a lot, but most of the night, that's usually your 6 that you need to focus on. Now, obviously, if Ashton's at your door and CoolKid is not even up here yet, take care of Ashton. He's gonna kill you if you don't, instead of trying to look for Ashton even though he hasn't appeared yet, or look for CoolKid even though he's not appeared yet. But everything is just first come, first serve some of the time, but not most of the time. Keep in mind stuff like Malachi and Zbar. You know, if you're waiting too long on them, you can take your care and look for someone else first, or if they're right there about to get you, then you might want to wait on them first. In fact, here's the clip of kind of giving you an idea of why the priorities change so much throughout the night, and they'll be on the right side, color coded and everything. And they will start moving around as soon as the blur disappears. Phew, that was close. So that's basically all the strategies for into this game. Now, there's a lot of tips I had to give you, but I decided to put it in later chapters into the game, and it'll explain why once you go into the different chapters, why I put the tips there instead of in the strategies one. We have now started the night, and well, the first 20 seconds is completely free. You'll either have 3 and 2 attacking first and followed by Zbar, or Zbar attacking first and followed by 3 and 2. Those two characters nearly always go first. You will rarely find any other character attacking before them two, or in between that. And then follow your priorities. It'll take you a few hours at most to get through the first 3 minutes of it. And to give you an idea, it's not so bad. It's just night 6, but 3 and 2 is into the mix. I don't like how I say that, but anyways, to give you an idea, night 6 is the max mode without CoolKid and 3 and 2. All the other characters are in max mode. So if you can do night 6, you can probably do the first 3 minutes without too much problems. But it'll take you a few hours because 3 and 2 is kind of tricky, but once you get him down, he's pretty easy. Now here's some tips to help you out. Now in this section, if I give you a tip that helps you out through the entire night, I'll label it on the bottom right as something that will help you throughout the entire night. But if I give you a tip that only helps you within the first 3 minutes, I'll label that instead. Tip 1. You can use the vent and use the flashlight at the same time. So let's say you got Zbar about to coming down for the vent, and you see Malachi right there waiting on you. Well, you can flash and close the vent at the same time, and then open it back up and still flash him. Cam 3, in my opinion, is the best camera. It's because you can see the timer in Zbar, which you can already see in all the other cameras. But what makes this camera so special is, well, you can also see all the characters about to come in and get you. You can see Tryfly about to come in, you can see Ashton about to come in, and you can see Malachi coming in. Now, if you really want to, this doesn't really help the first 3 minutes. It really helps the last 3 minutes, but you can also use this in the first 3 minutes. You can prematurely shut doors before the characters make it to the door. Like I mentioned before, let's say if Ashton's on his last stage before he's about to enter by either your left or right door, you can shut the door on him. And then if he does have that successful opportunity, it goes to, let's say, your left door, and the left door is already closed or slowly opening, it'll still consider it as closed, and it will make him teleport back all the way to the first stage, which is on his stage. Flashlight does not consume power. I'll repeat that. Flashlight does not consume power. You can flash the light throughout the entire night and not lose a single % through it. So use that thing as much as you want, and I highly recommend it. Use it as much as you want. It will really help you out. I check on Zbar every 2 seconds just to keep an eye on him instead of using a timer on top, so I don't count it down and don't focus only on the top, on the counting part. And what I like to do is that when I enter, see the timer, let's say he's at 7 seconds, then I exit out, then you can quickly check everything to make sure everything's good on your doors. And then as soon as you're good on all those, which will take you a split second, then you can enter back to the cameras immediately, and by the time you see the timer again, it'll be around 5 seconds. It takes about 1.8 to 2 seconds to do all that, so you can constantly check the cameras a lot, which is what I do, and you can tell, and then you can set that minute to up, so okay, 7 seconds, okay, 5 seconds, okay, 3 seconds. And you're like, okay, 1 second, now I gotta close on him. You want to shut the vent below the 2 second mark. Anything past that, and you're coming the risk of running out of oxygen. Unfortunately, not everything is skill based. The last 3 minutes, like I said, you gotta deal with CoolKid, and he's lucked. No way around it. He can ruin your run at any moment by showing up at the wrong place, wrong time. And let's say you somehow pass that, wrong place, wrong time, by pure chance, guess what? That's his cycle now for the next few moments. So you will die eventually. I never make out of a bad cycle. I never had. In fact, when he does his first bad cycle, that's enough to get me killed. So for CoolKid, you need to make sure he's on the good cycle throughout the entire night. And that's not easy to do because he can break that cycle you like and go into a bad cycle that you don't want at any moment of the run. So you want him to make sure he attacks either after you dealt with all the threats or before you dealt with all the threats. Yes, if he attacks while you're trying to deal with the threats or something like that, it's not going to end well for you. Here's some tips again. but this is mainly for the last 3 minutes of the night, so I don't need to label all this. The best cameras for the night is either Cam 3 or Cam 1. On Cam 3 you can see everything like I said before, and on top of that you can see 2 different locations for CoolKid, which is really good. Cam 1 is also very good. It's because you get to see 3 different locations for CoolKid, and that eliminates half of all his locations. But like I said, if you try to use that camera, there's a good chance that Tryfly will block it. So use it sparingly, don't use it every time, or it's gonna really bite you in the ass if you try to do it. Switch it up to Cam 3. If he goes there a lot, try to stick around it. If not, go back to Cam 1, stick around from there. I'll repeat this again. Cam 4 and 5 are completely useless. Cam 5 is Zbar. If you're looking at Zbar at that point, what the hell are you even doing playing this game? And if you're using Cam 4, it's completely useless because you can see it for, you can see that location for Cam 1. That is it, I believe. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I'll try to answer them as best I can. If I miss anything, I will comment below as well and pin it. Anyways, thanks for watching.